Good afternoon, Dunkirk and Fredonia listeners, and welcome back to News at Noon. News at Noon is brought to you by Fredonia Radio Systems on WCVF 88.9 and WDVL 89.5. I am Kowalyk here filling in for News Director Lee Pye with the news assistants Maisie, Strader, Sara, Lodespoto, Joshua Ribakove, and Sports Director Matt Volz, and Hunter Halterman, who is our board op. With this top-of-the-hour update, we'll bring you the latest of SUNY Fredonia's campus news and events, sports, weather, and music, as well as national and international news. First up, let's go to the event bulletin for this week by Josh.
Thanks, Chloe. Class registration is now open for students, and a new class is being added to the science department. GEO 480 is environmental archaeology, taught by Dr. Matthew Pertil. The class will learn how pre-contact Native American cultures interacted with their environment for the past 13,000 years. We will discover how geological and environmental processes work and how Native Americans interacted with their surrounding environment. No prerequisites are required, and it is open to any major. The class will be on for next semester on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 10:50 a.m. The Accrual Accounting and Budgeting Workshop is happening on November 29th. Dr. Mark Nickerson will be hosting the session, which has topics including utilizing QuickBooks Online for accrual accounting, why accrual accounting provides better information for small businesses, and how budgeting in QuickBooks can help keep your business on track. The workshop is on Wednesday, November 29th from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. in the Fredonia Technology Incubator at 214 Central Avenue in Dunkirk. The clubs CEC, TEC, and KDP are hosting an event called Brain Freeze, where a study break will occur with games, music, and bracelet making. The event will be held on November 29th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the Williams Center, S204DE. You heard it through the grapevine. That's all from this week's news bulletin. Next up, we'll bring it to Maisie for our latest campus news updates.
Tonight, Sigma Gamma Phi is hosting a Dance for Hope celebration in loving memory for the eternal sister Hope Ants. It will feature the Orcasis and the dance team dancing for body love and positivity. So swing by the Williams Center multi-purpose room at 7:30 to see the performances. If you're staying at school for the weekend and have nothing to do, come support the Blue Devils men's and women's swim team. They have swim meets both Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Steel Hall starting at 9 or 10 and ending at 1 if you stay for both. For more information, go to the events calendar on SUNY Fredonia website. The Fredonia website states a new master's degree in clinical mental health counseling has been added to the graduate program offerings at SUNY Fredonia in response to a growing demand for clinical mental health care counselors. There will be a virtual open house in November and December before the next semester opens. The website also states enrolled students can earn this advanced degree in counseling without leaving their current employment. This also gives students of this major a chance to work in on the on-campus clinic for research. However, that won't open until 2025. That's it for campus news. Now let's send it to Chloe.
Thank you so much, Maisie. Next up, we have local news. Former Fredonia High School runner Charles Mancino's pastime is a fast time. Earlier this month, Mancino tested his speed at the New York City Marathon. Mancino has competed in the NYC Marathon 3 times now, but this most recent time was different. Mancino performed so well that he qualified for the Berlin Marathon in Germany. His time was 2:43:13, ranking 238th out of over 51,000 runners. Mancino trained for the marathon right here in Fredonia in the weeks leading up to his race. He said he credits running on the streets and hills of Fredonia to his success. Fredonia has decided not to pay a consultant for an Environmental Protection Fund grant. This grant would be intended for park improvements and other environmental actions here in Fredonia. Village Board trustees have also discussed preparing a comprehensive study of Fredonia's water system. Trustee John Esperson said that because the water study and grant information will be prepared by fellow trustees and locals, they will not pursue a consultant. Esperson said, quote, "I would have a hard time approving expending those funds for that, so I would move that we table that resolution for now," end quote. Now the board is considering applying for the grant next year. The group plans to use these funds, quote, "in a better way." Moving outwards towards our city to the north, the Buffalo Philharmonic Orchestra has been nominated for a Grammy Award. The award is in the Best Orchestral Performance category. The nomination is for the orchestra's album featuring their performance of two works by composer Alexander Scriabin, the Poem of Ecstasy and Symphony No. 2. The BPO has received multiple Grammy nominations in the past. The 2024 Grammy Awards will be broadcasted at 8 p.m. on February 4th, but the majority of categories, including Best Orchestral Performance, will be awarded during the Grammy premiere ceremony, which is streamed earlier in the day. That's it for your local news update. Let's take it to the sports guy, Matt Volz.
Thanks, Chloe, and good afternoon, everybody. The men's basketball team suffered a close loss last night, falling to Penn State Barons 66-62. Junior guards Malik Jemison and Keenan Roberts Jr. combined for 41 of the team's points. The Blue Devils are back at home tonight, facing Hilbert at 7 p.m. The women's basketball team is off to a 2-0 start following a 68-59 win over Hiram on Tuesday night. Freshman guard Grace Alexander again shined with a 23-point performance. Fredonia is headed to Brockport this weekend for a tournament, taking on William Smith College on Friday and Keuka College on Saturday. And the Blue Devils hockey team is on the road tonight, taking on Morrisville at 6:30 p.m. Fredonia enters play at 1-5, and they're looking to make it back-to-back wins after defeating Buff State for their first win of the season on Saturday. Well, the Sabres returned to home ice last night, falling to the Boston Bruins 5-2. Victor Olofsson scored both Buffalo goals. Before the game, the team celebrated Captain Kowalyk Poso's 1,000th NHL game, gifting him with a golden saber sword, as is tradition for Sabres who reached the milestone. During the game, Tage Thompson exited with an injury, and Sabres coach Don Granato says he will be out long-term, likely week to week. The Sabres will be headed to the Great White North to take on the Winnipeg Jets at 8 p.m. on Friday. And finally, the Buffalo Bills hosted the Denver Broncos on Monday night, falling 24-22 after a comedy of errors throughout the game. The loss was highlighted by Buffalo being penalized for having too many players on the field on a last-second field goal attempt that Denver had missed, giving the Broncos another chance to win. Head coach Sean McDermott made the decision to fire offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey on Monday, stating that the decision was his alone. Quarterbacks coach Joe Brady will take over as the interim offensive coordinator, and he will look to right the ship on an offense that has failed to score more than 25 points in a game since October 1st. The Bills will be home again on Sunday, taking on division rival New York Jets at 4:25 p.m. That's it for your sports update. Now let's take it to Sara for the weather.
Now here is your Northern Chautauqua weather update brought to you by Fredonia Radio Systems.
Hey y'all, how you guys liking the sun so far? I've missed the sunshine after weeks of clouds. Luckily, we got some more these next 2 days. And if you look out the windows, you can see what I mean as today reaches 61 degrees. Hey, maybe the clouds got an early Thanksgiving break, or maybe it's the high wind speeds blowing them away. Later tonight, bundle up because the temperatures drop into the low 40s. And if you like the weather out today, you are sure you're going to like the weather tomorrow. Similarly, Thursday holds lots of sunshine with the high of 63. One thing I like about tomorrow is it's going to be less windy, so hopefully it's a bit warmer. Entering into the nighttime, we get a breezy evening in the low 50s. That's it for your 2-day weather. Keep listening, and I'll be back with your weekend forecast. For now, let's take the lead for our local music update.
Fish Out of Water Productions is hosting music at Main Street Studios. The music will consist of Sasha and Company, Velvet Bethany, and Meadow Viscuso. The event is on Friday, November 17th, located at 50 West Main Street in Fredonia. Doors are at 8:30 p.m. and music is at 9 p.m. For some more music, if you go to this show, make sure you have your cowboy boots for square dancing, because Last Call Entertainment is presenting folk music in Fredonia. High Noon Friday, the variety radio show of 40 years from Fredonia Radio Systems, is hosting the event. Bands and artists that are playing are Milkweed and the Hartwell Hospice House Band, Wiley Something and Affliction, Two Peas in a Pod, and Jacob Kantner. The music is at BJ's at 51 West Main Street, Fredonia. Doors are at 9 and music is at 10. That's all I have in music news this week. Let's bring it to Josh for the national and international news.
Over the weekend, thousands of people evacuated northern Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital, the largest hospital in Gaza, as the Israeli military encircled the hospital under the suspicion that Hamas was leading militant operations from within. Many civilians, including newborns, were left stranded in the hospital, and the Israeli military has stated that they are supplying those people with humanitarian aid. Today, the Israeli military claims to have found weapons and other equipment used by Hamas inside Al-Shifa. Hamas has denied the claim that militants have been embedded within the hospital, but the United States states that their own intelligence indicates that Hamas militants have been working within Al-Shifa and other Gaza hospitals, as well as tunnels underneath them, to carry out military operations and hold hostages. Today, Israeli defense officials have allowed in about 24,000 liters of fuel to allow the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees to continue their operations, bringing in supplies of food and medicine into Gaza. The FDA is investigating applesauce and apple puree pouches after at least 20 toddlers across 14 states have been reported with lead poisoning linked to the tainted pouches. The 3 brands and their products under investigation are as follows: Wanabana apple cinnamon fruit puree pouches, Schnucks brand cinnamon-flavored applesauce pouches and variety pack, and Weiss brand cinnamon applesauce pouches. The affected children are all between the ages of 1 and 3 years old, and the CDC is advising parents to watch out for all the recalled products, as well as keep an eye on their children for any of the symptoms associated with lead exposure. The symptoms associated with lead poisoning are as follows: abdominal pain, anemia, headaches, tremors, and impaired kidney function. According to the FDA, quote, most children have no obvious immediate symptoms of lead exposure. If there's suspicion that a child may have been exposed to lead, parents should talk to their child's healthcare provider about getting a blood test, end quote. The FDA is continuing to collect and analyze product samples of the snack pouches, and more information on the affected products such as product IDs can be found on the FDA's website. Political discourse continues in both the House of Representatives and in Congress this week as House Speaker Mike Johnson's 2-tier spending bill narrowly passed, narrowly making it before a potential government shutdown. Due to a divided Republican House, Johnson had to rely on Democratic votes in a bipartisan movement to pass the spending bill, with a vote of 336 to 95. Alongside the 95 dissenters, the conservative House Freedom Caucus posted to X yesterday, stating, quote, the House Freedom Caucus opposes the proposed clean continuing resolution as it contains no spending reductions, no border security, and not a single meaningful win for the American people, end quote. In Congress, tensions boiled over yesterday, with Republican Representative Tim Burchett accusing the former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy of allegedly having elbowed him in the kidney, an act that McCarthy denies having done. The same day, U.S. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen stood up from his seat and challenged Teamsters Union President Sean O'Brien to a fight. The two bickered back and forth and threatened to brawl until Senator Bernie Sanders said to Mullen, quote, you are a United States Senator, sit down, end quote. That's all for today's national and international news. Now let's take it back to Sara for the rest of this week's weather forecast.
Hey y'all, it's me again. The clouds make a comeback on Friday with a high 59. A good guest should never show up empty-handed, and of course, this rule also applies to the clouds as they bring showers all day. At night, expect a gloomy, cold night as we cool down into the upper 30s. Saturday is a wolf in sheep's clothing since the bright, sunny day is contrasted by a cold 44. Hate to brag, but while y'all are chilling your faces off here, I'll be home at least 10 degrees warmer. I know, it's not that much different, but for me, it's little things that matter. Later that evening, we get a mixture of clouds and showers with a low of 37. Last but not least, Sunday is a chilly 45 with a range of rain and snow. Adding strong winds to the mix, I hope no one is traveling on Sunday because it'll be rough. I'm more optimistic if you're leaving at night since, sure, it'll be in the low 30s. But the evening is just cloudy with a low chance of precipitation. That's it for your weekend forecast. Let's take it right back to Chloe.
Thank you so much, Sara. That'll wrap it up for today's edition of News at Noon. Campus News is written and read by Maisie Strader. Local news for this broadcast is prepared by Kowalyk. Weather is presented by Sara Lodespoto. Sports is presented by Matt Volz. Music is prepared by Lee Pye and performed by Chloe Kowalyk. National and international news is prepared by Joshua Ribakove. And finally, board operations for this broadcast are performed by Hunter Halterman. Thanks for tuning in to News at Noon this week. Join us every Monday and Wednesday at 12 p.m. on WCVF 88.9 and WDVL 89.5. From all of us at Fredonia Radio Systems, have a wonderful day.